Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember this is Breakfast Live. Now, joining me in the studio is Murry Siyasiya, an economic expert here to talk about monetary policy as the Reserve Bank of Malawi's Monetary Policy Committee meets this month, an outlook for the last quarter. Very good morning to you and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're coming fresh off of last week where the RBM hosted a monetary policy conference where, among other things, the gap between inflation and policy rate were discussed. What is your impression of the conference, first of all?
Yeah, I was there. In fact, I was there. I joined the team that was there. I think everything went on well, despite that I was one of the people that were that thought that the conference ended on a bad note. Because despite all the discussions, the suggestions made by different economists there, the gurus, seasoned economists, in the closing remarks by the governor, it was indicated that they will continue implementing the monetary policy just as the business as usual.
That was actually going to be my next question. The governor did say that. What is your impression of the policy, of the current policy stance?
Yeah, the stance is not development oriented. We know that in our economy, the issues that we are having now should be related to economic growth, issues of employment, and so on. But then the current stance of the monetary policy is geared towards achieving price stability, for which we know that it would be difficult to achieve price stability because the conditions for pursuing price stability or inflation targeting do not hold in the Malawian economy's context.
As an economic expert, what would you prefer?
I would prefer going for development, or in other words, economic growth, which would sort out the other issues of employment and even price stability. Looking at the factors that are contributing to high levels of inflation are not related to interest rates and the way that the banks advance credit, but the issues that are related to issues of supply. So we have few goods being chased by a lot of money. So if you are targeting interest rates, then you can't achieve price stability.
Right. Now, Monetary Policy Committee meets this month. Do you think they will maintain this stance or maybe adopt a tight monetary policy?
I think they will maintain the stance given by the closing remarks, as I said. They said that they will continue to pursue price stability, which is inflation targeting. They think that the problems that we are facing are related to government borrowing. So they think that if they continue implementing the monetary policy the way they have been, if government also responds by reducing borrowing, they think that the monetary policy is going to be effective. So they will continue with the current stance.
But how will the decision affect performance, of the economy especially? It's no secret that economically we're going through some challenges. How will the decision affect the performance of the economy, especially in this last quarter of this year?
Yeah, as I've been saying repeatedly, to them it's business as usual. So you know how the economy has been performing. It has been dwindled economic growth, issues of unemployment increasing, scarcity of forex. So it means if they do not change the stance of the monetary policy, then it means the economic indicators will continue also in the way that they have been manifesting. So the economy will not be growing. Unemployment levels will be increasing. So that's what we should anticipate, unless if there's going to be a turn in the stance of the monetary policy.
So in other words, you think that going forward, we're still not going to be okay economically as a country?
We cannot.
Because you brought up a very important issue of foreign exchange, which the Reserve Bank came out and said they do have reserves. But looking at trends in parameters such as unemployment, like you mentioned, inflation, foreign exchange reserves, and performance of the kwacha in general, especially on the exchange rate, what should we expect in as far as the economy is concerned in this last quarter?
Yeah, repeatedly saying as well, the economy is going to be like this. The problems will persist, and we should anticipate even forex scarcity to continue, unless because the only thing that can generate forex is if we produce.
Right.
If we produce and then export the goods outside the country. That's the only way you earn forex. So if we are still pursuing interest rates, obviously they will increase interest rates to maintain price stability. Then it means there is going to be capital scarcity, no production. So unless we continue begging for forex outside, but the only sustainable way of having enough forex is if we export, and exporting means producing. So producing means economic growth, but the monetary policy is pursuing price stability, not production.
But as a country, do we not import more than we export? Is that in itself a challenge?
Yes, that's a very serious challenge, in fact, because when we are talking about international trade,
right,
we need to look at it as if it is barter trade. You what you import is exchanged with what you export. So it's like you are exchanging the goods, but then through a medium of exchange, which is money. So what you export, you generate some forex and procure goods from the same country. So it means if you are not exporting, then it means it is a serious problem as far as it is the international trade is concerned. And West still, our economy still relies on imports. So if we want to run away from importing, then maybe we can do import substitution, produce the goods and goods that we are usually importing from other countries.
So that would help us to stabilize the economy.
Yes. But as you know, capital is scarce. We cannot produce. The Reserve Bank of Malawi is pursuing price.
But I want you to come out clear in terms of what you're expecting in this last quarter. Are we going to be worse than we are now? Obviously, now we even have fuel shortages. We have inflation, foreign exchange reserves. We're lacking that. Are we going to be worse than where we are now?
I think that would be a little bit difficult to tell, but looking at the trend,
right.
You know, sometimes I'm one of those people who usually do not trust some of the figures that are published. But if you look at the trend since COVID, we can pretty much say that we have been experiencing a recession.
Right.
So economic growth, there has been economic decline. So if that is the trend, you see that if the trend continues, then it means in the last quarter we are going to be worse off than because the trend has been that production has been decreasing. So we can be worse off, but that would be very difficult to predict
at this moment.
But definitely it's not going to be the improvement that everyone would be looking for.
Right. Now, I was going to ask you your prediction for 2023, but I'll avoid that. But considering the issues that we've pointed out, the challenges that we're facing as a country economically, it's also important to figure out solutions. What can we do to make sure that the economy is sustained moving forward? What do you think that is?
Yeah, of course, in respect to monetary policy, because the introduction was about monetary policy.
Right.
I think what we need to do is we need to change the stance. Go for production. Production is what is going to sort out all these other problems. If capital is available, people will be employed, they will produce more, and then there will be more goods. Which will essentially push the prices downwards. It's simple demand and supply framework here. If supply increases, prices will reduce. So that would help us a lot. And then on the side of the fiscus, I think the Reserve Bank is partially right that their interventions as far as monetary policy is concerned sometimes can be compromised by what the fiscal policy is also doing. They will they will increase interest rates in order to achieve price stability, but then that's when the government is borrowing more on the markets, so that the interventions implemented by monetary policy would be compromised in that case. So if there is also discipline on the government borrowing, but essentially the production will sort out all those issues, because if government has no, if there are no, if there is no money in the economy, where else will the government get the money? So if we increase production, the government, borrowing behavior can also be sorted out in a way. And then maybe we should also not forget the other issues that we are facing in the country, issues of corruption. These are also rampant in the economy, which would also compromise some of the interventions that these policies can try to implement for the betterment of the economy.
And how do we tackle the high levels of debt, for example, that the country is in?
I would only offer maybe a theoretical solution, because sometimes corruption is nurtured by unequivalent punishments. You see, you go away with billions, but you only, when you are caught, you are only charged maybe a year, and if you are lucky, you also get out before the 1 year. So that would not tame corruption. So we need to have enforcement mechanisms, the mechanisms that can track corruption issues, and when they are found, the due punishments as provided by the law should be imposed. That way we are going to deal away with the corruption. And the other way would be maybe the change in culture. There's a culture of not thinking of others in this country. So you know that when you are holding an office, you are only thinking about yourself. So that would not help us. If we know that if we are in a public office,
we're here to serve the people.
You serve the people. That's so they should, when the government is employing these people, they should track that behavior. If that person is ready to serve the people, or to save his own interests.
Thank you very much, Mr. Siyasiya, for being here with us and shedding more light on the plans for the Monetary Policy Committee to meet this month. I was joined by Murry Siyasiya, an economic expert, here to talk about monetary policy as the Reserve Bank of Malawi's Monetary Policy Committee meets this month, and of course the outlook for the last quarter of the year 2022. We'll be back with more Breakfast Live after this.